So guys, I'm gonna be today I'm streaming very late, streaming at like 4 o'clock at night. But it seems like the situation is going worse actually. It's worse than what it was before. And I don't know if US actually had a plan before they actually started the war, or like they're still not able to figure out what extent Iran can actually go to. Trump says Israel attacked Iran gas field without US and Qatari involvement, warns against attacks on Qatar. So what USA actually did is they did the worst thing that they could have possibly done other than nukes, which they attacked the Iranian oil fields, which Iran did not like. And Iran mentioned that previously that if you attack our oil fields, Iran will attack them back. And they've just killed like 230 people in Israel today. They've started hitting the civilian targets as well. Previously, they were just hitting the army targets, and now they're going to attack all the USA bases in the Middle Eastern countries, and they're going to attack the oil refineries as well. And if the attacks get successful, if Iran is able to destroy all the oil refineries in the Middle Eastern countries, that's where like 60 to 70% of the oil actually comes to the European countries. The whole economy is going to be messed up. None of the countries would be able to function. It's going to be bad for everyone. It will be good for the electrical business, especially the companies that are selling like the electric cars. Like for Tesla, that's going to be a great success for Tesla because now their business will actually go up. So Trump is actually trying to blame Israel for this. Trump is saying that Israel actually did that without the consultation of USA, and that's a trick that um, tr- Trump was actually putting on other people as well, because he was saying that with the attacks on like the with the attacks on Iran, right? There were some other people that he was blaming. He was saying that same thing about like Hegseth, and he was saying that about Marco Rubio previously, but now he's pulling the trick on Israel as well. So, U.S. President Donald Trump said that late on Wednesday, the attack on Iran's South Pars gas field was carried out by Israel, and the U.S. and Qatar were not actually involved in it. Trump also said Israel would not make any more attacks on Iranian facilities in South Pars unless Iran attacked Qatar, warning that the U.S. would attack those facilities if Iran acted against Doha. But I think he said that before Iran actually attacked it, because Iran has already attacked the facilities in Qatar and the facilities in Saudi Arabia as well. The United States knew nothing about this particular attack, and the country of Qatar was in no way, shape, or form involved with it, nor did have any idea that it was going to happen. Trump wrote on Truth Social. So what Trump is trying to do right now is trying to keep the relationships with the Middle Eastern countries, which he was losing previously, because we know that he's not been able to intercept any of the missile attacks on Middle Eastern countries. The defense systems has been really suspicious when it comes to those countries. Iran has not publicly claimed responsibility for the South Pars attack, according to the Wall Street Journal and Axios. Trump knew of Israel's plan to attack the Iranian part of the world's largest natural gas deposit in advance and supported it. Iran shares the South Pars field with Qatar, a close U.S. ally. Iran had said earlier that Israel struck its facilities in South Pars on Wednesday in a major escalation in the U.S.-Israeli war on Iran that sent oil prices shooting higher. Tehran retaliated by promising attacks on oil and gas targets throughout the Gulf, firing missiles at Saudi Arabia and also hitting Qatar's Ras Laffan industrial city, an energy industry hub. Like, what is going to happen if this keeps on happening? Because China actually does a lot of business with the electricity. They have a lot of companies. China does actually do a lot of production via those means. um, it will be good for Chinese business, to be honest. China would thrive in that situation, I would say. Oh no, it's not. Let me do that. Okay, there's more news about this. It's saying Saudi energy sites attacked. Riyadh says trust gone. Qatar orders Iranian security and the military attaches to leave the country after Iranian missiles cause extensive damage to its main gas facility at Ras Laffan. UAE shuts down the Habshan gas facilities in Abu Dhabi after an Iranian attack by Saudi Arabia said two of its refineries were also attacked. Riyadh says the little trust that remained in Iran has been completely shattered. So Saudi Arabia is a direct enemy of Iran now. I don't know if they would attack them back actually, because that would be a very strong decision to take. The thing is, because Iranian civilians actually do support Saudi Arabia. So if Saudis do attack Iran, it will turn into a direct war, and then there will be attacks on the civilians. And the problem is, this was kind of a claim before the U.S. actually started the war. The claim was that they want a regime change. I mean, it started from like attacking the nuclear facilities, that Iran possesses nuclear weapons, and again that Iran is trying to develop the nuclear weapons against. They're closer than ever. And then there were threats of like the ballistic missiles. That's why they wanted to make a deal where Iran cannot even possess the ballistic missiles. But the third thing was the regime change. That's what they wanted. That's what they were talking about actually, because they wanted to get Iranian people on the side. What they were trying to do is they were trying to get civilian wars. They were trying to get these civilian wars started inside Iran so they could make Iran weaker from inside. But the people didn't actually get up. So the claims of Iranian people actually getting up and going against their own regime didn't turn out to be true, and that didn't actually work out for them. So now it seems like they're okay with actually getting into a direct war with Iran, which will actually cause a lot of casualties, and for like the Iranian people as well, for the Iranian liberals that were actually posting a lot on social media about asking for Americans and the Israelis to come to Iran and invade them and actually have like a regime change. It didn't turn out to be. It doesn't seem like it's going in any good direction. And what's going to happen is that USA does not have the power to actually open the Strait of Hormuz. Um, it only capacitates like 2.1 miles in the middle, which is a very smaller area when you look at the bigger picture. Iran has enough weapons to actually stop anybody from going through that place. So that's not going to work out for anyone. And now that Iran has started attacking the oil refineries everywhere, UAE, Saudi Arabia, and they've actually told everybody that they would do it. They should have expected that to happen, and things are going towards the worst future. It's going worse. It's going bad right now, really bad. Like what's going to happen in the future is that the oil prices are going to go up everywhere, and the electricity would actually be in demand. So even the electric cars are good for Elon Musk. Actually, his business might actually thrive in this. So Iran's foreign minister is saying that he had held separate phone conversations with his counterparts in Turkey, Egypt, and Pakistan. Arakshi discussed the US and Israel's military aggression against Iran and its regional and global repercussions with the foreign ministers, as well as the need for vigilance and coordination among regional countries in the face of these threats. The Iranian foreign minister said in a statement. Um, so he met the foreign minister of Sweden as well, Maria Mammers Stanagard, according to the ministry earlier. Stanagard had expressed dismay over Iran's execution of a Swedish citizen accused of spying for Israel. Okay, so the Qatari Minister of Interior Defense crews have fully contained all the fires in the Ras Laffan industrial area without recording any injuries. Um, yeah, so Trump has actually talked against Israel now. He has said it clearly that Israel did it without the consultation of Donald Trump. He doesn't want to take any more smoke. This is what it is. Trump has already taken a lot of smoke. I mean, he's gonna lose badly in the midterms. He would lose all the power in the Congress and in the Senate, and it's gonna be really bad for like the last 2 years. It's just gonna be like a sitting duck. He wouldn't have any power. he wouldn't have any power over any of the decisions. And I think he was kind of prepared for it. He knew that the first 2 years were going to be his years, and that's the time that he actually needs to do whatever he can. And after that, I mean, it's going to be difficult for him. And once Democrats get in power, actually, they're going to try to put him in prison. There will be investigations that he has like a lot of sexual harassment cases going on against him. They will actually, yeah, and even the case with like the fourth of 6th of Jan case, they will bring that up as well. The U.S. president's comments may be deepening confusion about what Washington red lines are. It may be raising questions about how serious the U.S. is about prosecuting this war for several more weeks, or whether it is indeed looking off for an off ramp. So what exactly is he saying? It has been reported to UKMTO that a vessel has been hit by an unknown projectile, the agency said in a statement, adding that all crew are reported safe and well. So in Qatar, there have been no casualties, though. Vessels are advised to transit with caution and report any suspicious activity to UKMTO while authorities continue to investigate, it added. Um, okay, Australia. The thing is, now all of the countries are actually closing their uh, fuel refineries. All of the countries are doing it. That tells you that they're so scared of Iran. They know now that Iran is going to be retaliating with all of those countries. So even Australia is appointing fuel supply coordinator amid Hormuz blockade. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says his government has appointed a fuel supply task force coordinator as global oil prices surge and amid Iran's decision to block most shipping through the Strait of Hormuz. He said in a statement that Anthony Harris, a former top bureaucrat, had been appointed to the role. I want to reassure Australians Australia is well prepared. These are our fuel supply is currently secure. I think some of the countries are actually going to benefit from this. Like they wanted to damage Iran a lot, but what's going to happen is a lot of the European countries and the North American countries, they were actually dependent on a lot of oil from Iran. And at least that was the way, the Strait of Hormuz was the way that they were actually using for the oil supply. But that's going to force them to actually make new deals, which would actually collapse them in the future for like a couple of months. At least there will be like a massive gap before they actually, before the deal actually starts. So that's going to cause a lot of problems for them. And the countries that will actually benefit from them would probably be China and Russia. Like China and Russia would actually be benefiting a lot. So Donald Trump didn't get anything out of it, to be honest. Yeah, here Trump is actually saying he did not know about Israel's plan to strike the South Pars gas field, but there is other reporting here in Washington this evening suggesting that Trump administration signed off on the Israeli airstrike. It could also be that somebody else signed off the strike, but Trump's just claiming that he doesn't know about it, just like he does with every single thing. Like with the Strait of Hormuz as well, Trump is like, well, I didn't know that they were going to attack that. And then even with the retaliations on like the military bases, Trump just acting dumb and saying that I just didn't expect them to do that. I just didn't expect them to fight back. Like, what kind of a stupid country would that be that is not fighting back? Yeah, you literally have not have any weapons, or just a stupid country if you didn't want to do it. Of course, for self-defense, countries would hit back, and for Iran, this was the only choice. It was a war of attrition for Iran. Iran does not have the same capacity, missile capacity. Their missiles don't have the range to actually go to USA. So the best thing for them was to actually hit the American bases in those countries and kind of economically, first of all, causing a fear in those countries to stop the visitors from actually coming to those countries because that's how they make a lot of money. And second of all, just I mean, these are the only American connections that they have that they can actually put some fear into American military as well. That's the only like point of attack that they have. So that was the only thing that would have made sense for them. Plus the to destroy the economy, they're obviously destroying the oil refineries and stuff. That makes sense for them. Oh my God, Pentagon is actually asking for like $2 billion for the Iranian war. That is a lot of money, actually. That tells you how much money they've already spent. And now we know that USA's and Israel's defense actually heavily depends on money, and it takes a lot of time. Like there's the amount of Tomahawk missiles that USA has used requires the production of like the whole year. So you required the whole 2025 to produce those Tomahawk missiles, and you've already used them. So that tells you that if you run out of the Tomahawk missiles or like any other missiles, it would take you a long period of time to actually even recover back. And that's why Iran actually has a lot of capacity to take damage. This is what they're good at. If you're a fan of like fighting or UFC fighting, you know the fighters who can actually take a lot of punishment and can recover are most likely to win. These fighters are the ones who actually go really far in their careers because they just have this ability. They have like a very good cardiovascular tanks that helps them. So Iran is fighting very economically. They don't spend a lot of energy. Economically it's not very heavy on them, and it doesn't require a lot of time for them to actually build those weapons that they are using. They recover very fast, so they're built for those sort of warfares. America is built for like a quick, explosive Warfare. They have the weapons that have the very high accuracy. They have the weapons that require a lot of money, and it requires a lot of time to actually produce those weapons. That's why they're not made to thrive in a marathon sort of fight. So with Venezuela, they were able to do it because Venezuela didn't actually fight back. So that was a quick one for them. With Iran, it's also the geographic location of Iran. It's also the structure of Iran. It's also the size of Iran. It's like a massive country, and it's also the government of Iran. It's divided into. It's a very decentralized sort of government right now. Just killing one person of the army or just killing one person of the prime minister or the whoever's in power doesn't actually does the job for USA. You have to kill every single one of them from USA's point of view, which is kind of like an unlikely thing because it's such a massive country and they have like 31 generals that are actually taking care of the duties, and they would have someone appointed. Uh, they would also have someone in mind that would take their place once if USA does get rid of them. So let me see. Yeah, this is where Pentagon is actually asking for the money. Pentagon has asked the White House to approve a more than $200 billion request to Congress to fund the war in Iran, according to a senior administration official, the Washington Post reports. The oil price climbed towards 110 a barrel on Wednesday as the mounting threat to the Gulf's oil and gas infrastructure fueled concerns of more disruption to global supplies. Amid the continuing blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, Qatar Energy sizable fires caused extensive damage at its LNG facilities after Iranian missile attacks in the early hours of Thursday. An attack set a ship ablaze early on Thursday off the UAE coast. Authorities said the United Kingdom Marine Trade Operations Center said a vessel has been hit by an unknown projectile. I'm actually going to play a video for you guys. It's the one video that I just saw today, which is kind of unbelievable.
So about 8 hours ago, Trump declared these oil fields in Iran fair game in this war. They just declared like absolute Armageddon with Iran. This was the one thing that was off limits, and Iran said, "Don't touch these." And we are losing so bad in this war. Iran just decided today they're going to send a message, going to make it loud and clear. 230 have been killed alone in Israel today. Iran has been
230.
playing nice for the most part and specifically targeting specific areas. They've been warning, they've been allowing the Israelis to get into bomb shelters. Today they said the gloves are coming off. You just hit our oil fields. Now, a gentleman over here on X just put together this really detailed breakdown on how serious this is and what Iran's exact response has been, what targets they've hit, what facilities they've hit, what countries they've attacked. 4 different countries already, and massive casualties, and at major oil facilities. Like if you thought $100 a barrel was bad, I think you should hang tight because I think everything's about to change. So check this out.
Israel just made the single most dangerous military decision of the entire war, and nobody understands what they just triggered. Israel and the US struck South Bars, the largest gas field on the planet. But here's what they either didn't know or didn't care about. South Pars is jointly managed by Iran and Qatar. They didn't just attack Iran, they attacked the energy backbone of their own Gulf allies. Let that sink in. The IRGC just declared all major energy facilities across the entire GCC as direct and legitimate targets. And warned strikes are coming in the coming hours. Listed targets: Qatar's LNG complex, Saudi Aramco facilities, UAE oil terminals, everything. Saudi Aramco has already evacuated workers from the Samref refinery in Yanbu. They're not waiting. They know what's coming. Iranian hackers have already hit Aramco's digital systems, posting images and issuing threats to paralyze their infrastructure. Multiple explosions just heard in Riyadh, confirmed by Reuters, AFP, and AP. Sirens sounding in the Saudi capital. Do you understand the scale of what's happening? Qatar's LNG complex is the largest on Earth. It supplies 30% of the world's liquefied natural gas. If Iran hits it, Europe's heating supply disappears overnight, not in months, overnight. Saudi Aramco is the most valuable company on the planet, worth $1,800,000,000,000. Its refineries process 12 million barrels per day. One successful strike takes 10% of the world's oil offline. In 2019, a single drone attack on Saudi Aramco's Abqu IQ facility knocked out 5.7 million barrels per day and sent oil up 15% in one session. Iran now has 10 times the motivation and nothing left to lose. They're showing you precision strikes on Iranian targets. They're not showing you that those strikes just gave Iran the justification to destroy every oil facility from Qatar to Saudi Arabia to the UAE. Here's the logic. Follow it carefully. You bomb a gas field that's jointly owned with Qatar. Qatar, your own Gulf ally, publicly condemns you. Iran uses the attack as justification to target all Gulf energy. IRGC formally declares Gulf facilities as legitimate targets. Aramco starts evacuating refineries. Explosions hit Riyadh. You didn't weaken Iran. You gave them the excuse to burn down the entire Gulf's economy. If this was a strategic victory, why is Aramco evacuating workers right now? If Iran's military is degraded, why are 6 Gulf nations scrambling to protect their oil fields from an attack they believe is imminent? Complete silence. You don't evacuate the world's most valuable company unless you know what's coming. The IRGC said, coming hours, not days, not weeks, hours. And every Gulf state just went from spectator to target. This is no longer a war between the US and Iran. This is a war that's about to erase the Gulf's entire energy infrastructure, the infrastructure that powers half the planet. Prepare accordingly. They don't want you seeing this. Follow plus RT to beat the algorithm.
Holy fuck, mother of Lord, dude. Shit's about to get real fucking bad. And this was 100% avoidable. Trump did not need to get us in.
This is the thing. I mean, it might destroy the whole energy infrastructure in the Gulf. I mean, the oil facility that they actually hit in Iran, it was not just Iran's that was actually benefiting from it. It was all the Gulf countries that were actually benefiting from it as well. And Iran and Qatar had equal shares in it. That's going to be a problem for all of those Gulf countries. And the whole world is kindly going to go in recession. That's probably going to happen. And yeah, man, that's going to be crazy. That will be crazy. It is, I would say it's sort of like a world war. The amount of countries that are actually involved in this, Persia, all of the Arab countries are involved in this, and the European countries are kind of paying for it as well. So there's a lot of damage that's being taken, and this is easily avoidable. Like the last point that he was making is that we could have avoided. There was no imminent, there was no imminent threat. There was no imminent nuclear threat. I mean, this is one of the reasons that Joe Kent actually retired. I mean, this guy has been involved in how many wars? How many wars? I think probably like 7 times he's been allocated by the U.S. Army, and you're saying that he's a dumb guy. He was always weak on security. That guy who's been involved in like 7 military operations doesn't have an idea about the security, but Donald Trump has got more of an idea about the security than him. And calling him weak, that shows you how disrespectful they are to their military service as well. I mean, when they talk about like putting on a show, they will say, "Oh, thanks for the service" and all of this. But if you're not actually showing that in real life, then what are you actually doing? Because he's actually a military veteran who's not getting enough respect. And I mean, this is the kind of thing. The people that are on Trump is actually surrounding himself with like Lindsey Graham and like Marco Rubio and those guys. Yo, Hamid, how you doing? You're right. Pretty early in the morning today. Yeah, I'm actually streaming at this time. Yeah, are you following the situation with Iran, by the way? The new strikes that are happening, and our Trump is actually not even taking the responsibility for the strike that they did on the oil facility. He's just saying that Israel is the one who actually did it without any consultation because Trump doesn't want any smoke. He's already been getting bashed in the media a lot for the decisions that he's been making. And Iran did hit back at Qatar, man. Iran hit back at Saudi Arabia as well. They destroyed that facility too. In Qatar, I'm happy there's no like there's no casualties when it comes to like the lives of the people. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. It doesn't make any sense, right? The gas field is shared between Qatar and Iran, so Qatar is kind of paying for it as well. Plus, all of the Gulf states are actually benefiting from it. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's Iran's right to actually defend itself. If they're hitting back, this is possible. They told them it's not even like it's coming as a surprise or Iran is doing like a breach of contract or something. Iran told everybody that if you're, this is like the second worst thing they could have done. Like the worst thing is like the nuclear weapon. The second worst thing was attacking that facility. And Iran told everybody, if you do this, we're ready. This is what we're going to be doing. Yeah, Iran doesn't have the nuclear missile capacity to actually hit the USA directly. They're not going to do that. The best they could do is like hit the military bases in the Middle Eastern countries or hit the oil refineries, and that's what they're going to be doing. And who's going to pay for this? It's going to be the whole world actually paying for this at the end. When the whole world actually goes into recession, that's going to be a problem because all of the European countries, North American countries, they're kind of dependent on it to some extent, to a large extent actually. So that's going to be really bad. That's going to be the way it's going and the direction that it's going to is going to be really bad for everyone. And do you think Elon Musk would actually be um in being you want to see all the Middle East oil? Or do you want to see all the Middle East oil getting burned? Is that what you want to see, to be honest? But it's going to be trouble. Elon Musk might actually be happy about this one because he's got the Tesla and then his cars business would actually be benefiting from it a lot. Yeah, let them actually do it. To be honest, let them do it. And people might actually be becoming less dependent on the oil. They might actually be coming out uh, with a different option. I mean, the electricity business, it might thrive actually. The electric cars and everything that is working with the electricity might actually thrive during this time. And who is doing the most electric business, by the way? China is the one actually. China is the one that produces most of the products that actually require electricity than the rather than the oil. Yeah, yeah, it will be bad, bro. It will be bad. Like it's just going to be bad, and that tells you that they didn't actually get anything out of it. For Trump, I think personally Trump was trying to distract everybody from the Epstein files. Like this is one of the things. Plus the second thing was Trump made a lot of promises when he actually came into the power. He said that the economy was actually going to go up, and because he wasn't delivering inside the country, the results were so bad, everything was kind of going expensive, like he didn't make any sort of adjustments. Then he was like, let me actually distract them with something else. If I start the foreign warfare, then that might actually help me, which he tried with Venezuela, and they were able to get the regime change very quick. I wouldn't even call it a regime change because the other person that they put in power is actually from the same party, so it's not really a regime change. It's just they kidnapped the leader and put in a new leader. But because they were able to do it so effectively and so easily within like 45 minutes, they killed like a bunch of people, 100 people, and they kidnapped the president. They thought they would be able to do the same thing in Iran, but they don't know the history of Iran, which is Iranian people are actually warriors. They were gonna hit back. You're talking about like Maduro. His sons are in power right now. Okay, I'm not sure about it. If his sons are in power, then it doesn't even make any sense to actually kidnap him. Which was kind of to be honest, I was against the Venezuela operation as well. It's just USA just got lucky that they didn't have to pay much about this. But with Iran, I knew Iran was going to fight back bad, and not because Iran also has a very good geographic location. Like it has a lot of significance. They have control of the Strait of Hormuz. They control a lot of oil. I mean, one of the island, which island is it that's got a lot of oil? It is responsible for like 20% of the oil. It's responsible for 90% of the oil in Iran and like 20% of the oil worldwide, something like this. But now deals with the Americans. Also, it's benefit the Venezuelan thing is actually benefiting Iran, benefiting USA, right? Even though they kidnapped their father. I guess either they're probably scared or they're just those type of people who just go for the money. To be honest, wherever they see the benefit, that's what actually Those are the strings that actually move them wherever they see the money. Billion worth of gold from Venezuela last week. Billions worth of gold from Venezuela last week. Yeah, they go for the money. So they bought the gold from Venezuela, but they must have got it for like a cheaper price, right? And after the Venezuelan attack, just a week after, Venezuela was exporting oil to Israel, even though we know that in the last couple of years, China was the biggest importer of oil from Venezuela. China was importing like 80% of the exports of Venezuela was to China. And that was also one of the things that the USA wanted Venezuela to get separated from China. Yeah, I mean, for sure they do that. They must have provided them with something. Of course, do you think Donald Trump actually had a problem with the drugs business? He never actually had a problems with the drug business. I mean, those drug lords have been operating for a long, long time. They never actually cared about it. It's only when there's something going on with them. And I heard Maduro was actually he was kind of going against Donald Trump, something like this. I mean, isn't there something going on with like the Epstein files and stuff? Like Maduro was doing a lot of trafficking as well. There was a lot of child trafficking going on. Like he was providing USA, all the billionaires with that, and then they were on record. I guess like police had information about them and they were gonna cash them, so he had to kidnap them. The Chinese live their exports to the West too. I mean, China is like one of the biggest exporter in the world anyway. Economically, they're just doing very well, and their kids in Western universities. Love. Okay, let me talk. Let me find the Maduro's kids. Okay, it's Nicolas Maduro Guerra. He's also a Venezuelan politician. Yeah, you're correct. Okay, following the capture and removal of his father by U.S. forces in early January 2026, Maduro Guerra has emerged as a central political figure and power broker for the ruling Chavista movement in Venezuela. He serves as a deputy in the National Assembly for the state of La Guerra and a high-ranking member of the United Socialist Parties of Venezuela. He has publicly pledged unconditional support for acting President Delcy Rodriguez. Oh my God. Oh my God, dude. No, you are 100% correct. He has publicly pledged unconditional support for acting President Delcy Rodriguez, while his father and stepmother, Celia Forces, faced legal proceeding in the United States. Yeah, so, I mean, he is totally on board with the United States of America. Likely his father, he's been targeted by US sanctions. Dude, Delcy Rodriguez is that woman who are actually nominating Donald Trump for like the Nobel Peace Prize. Isn't that the lady? That's kind of crazy. Okay, after the capture of Nicolas Maduro by US forces, Donald Trump formally recognized and backed Delcy Rodriguez as the interim president of Venezuela. There's no factual record of Delcy Rodriguez nominating Donald Trump for office, for any office or award. So maybe it might be somebody else. Actually, I might be misquoting it. I might be giving you misinformation. It might be somebody else who actually nominated Donald Trump as like the Nobel Peace President. And by the way, many of the Arabian countries, many of the even Pakistan actually, Pakistan's prime minister doesn't stop liking Donald Trump. He doesn't do it. Like Shabazz Sharif, when he actually went to one of the conferences and he was standing there with Donald Trump. Trump actually invited him to the stage, asked him to actually speak on what he wanted to speak on, and Shabazz Sharif actually nominated Donald Trump as the Nobel Peace Prize winner, and he's actually saying things that nobody believes in, like literally saying it. Oh, I nominated Donald Trump as the Nobel Peace Prize winner because he's the best president. He's created the most peace, and I will nominate him again. Like, dude, what are you talking about? Flores is a powerful political figure and member of the National Assembly, while Maduro has held roles as a special inspector and assembly figure. Uh, those are his sons. Okay, Flores and the Guerra, those are his sons, and they're actually in political power right now as well. Yes, 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 they're doing it. So United States basically is trying to create an empire. Like we still have a concept of empire. They want to control all of the countries in the world. They want to be the gangster. They want to be the police, and they want to go to every single country to make sure that their people are actually happy with them, even though they don't actually care about it. It doesn't seem like they care about the regime change in Iran. It doesn't even seem like they have any plans how to get the regime change in Iran. And it's going really badly for the United States and Israel as well. Iranian people have the ability to actually take a lot of damage. They have taken a lot of damage. This is not the first time they've actually looking at that. They have experienced it before. It seems like they were ready for this, and it seems like they want to make USA and Israel pay for it this time. They're not gonna let United States actually invade Iran after every 6 months, just like they did in June, saying that we have destroyed your nuclear facilities, and then it's over now. But then again, the imminent threat of the nuclear weapons happened, and now you're coming here again. I mean, what was Joe Kent actually saying? What was the exact statement that he was actually making? I'm actually gonna read the resignation letter from Joe Kent. Well, psychologically, they're different from Asians or Middle Eastern or Africans. uh, you mean the Venezuelan? Yeah, it's because they're first of all they're very close to United States of America. So they do see the benefits in keeping United States close to them. Because I do think they're doing a lot of smuggling of the drugs, even though I believe that Venezuela is now the biggest exporter of the drugs. It was Mexico. It was always Mexico, but because Mexico's government is probably on the same side as Trump, he didn't have to do it. Venezuela was kind of like picking a fight with them, Latinos. Yeah, I would say it depends upon a lot upon the geographic location as well, and it's kind of like the instinctive nature of the humanity to look for the benefits, to look for the easy routes. For Venezuela, it's only worked for them to have America as an ally just because of the geographic location they're living very close to them, and because USA can actually help them with like the drug trafficking and stuff. You know, America is also like one of the biggest exporters of like exporters or importers of the drugs when it comes to benefiting them. Like with I don't know if you know how much drugs they were exporting in Afghanistan from Afghanistan. So when USA was in power in Afghanistan, they were actually doing a lot of heroin business. They were doing that. They don't have the old populations, but the natives too. I mean, there could be some genetic differences as well, to be honest. That is kind of true. But if you look at those countries, like they do import and export a lot of drugs, that's very common in those countries. Like it's the production of those things. It's also very natural to those places geographically. So with Venezuela, by the way, they were not the biggest exporter of the drugs. It was just the excuse that Donald Trump wanted to use, and they, you know, the boats that they actually Colombia does produce, the boats that they actually bombed in the Caribbean Sea. There was no evidence of drugs on those boats, and they killed a bunch of people by doing that. That was kind of crazy. And then you know Venezuela is not even in the top 5 countries when it comes to the production of fentanyl. You know who does the most production of fentanyl? It's Mexico. Obviously, it's Mexico. But then Mexico is not the only country. I mean, it goes to China and like parts of it come from India and stuff. But Mexico is like the biggest one. But USA has not done anything in Mexico yet. And I personally think that South American countries don't have a lot of capabilities when it comes to like the warfare and stuff. They haven't developed a lot of weapons, so they depend a lot on USA, and they don't have the ability to actually fight back because they don't have the missiles. China is number one in fentanyl. Yeah, it's something with like China and Mexico. So like the actual thing is found in Mexico, and then there's parts that are coming from China, like dropping stuff up. But let me actually find it. Let me find it. Okay, so China is sending it to Mexico, and Mexico brings it to the US. Okay, that might be true. So maybe that was the thing. The production of fentanyl is split between a regulated illicit medical supply chain and a dominant illicit illicit supply chain. So, illicit production and global supply. The illicit market is identified by international law enforcement and health organizations as a major source of fentanyl. The market operates with the. Okay, so now we're looking at the reports actually, like the card. Yeah, it's used in healthcare as well. So maybe they could be doing it through the illicit means, right? So reports from organizations like we're talking about U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, which is the DEA, and the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC, frequently identify China as a primary source of the precursor chemicals to synthesize fentanyl. So China is the first one. Okay, now it's the manufacturing hubs. Um, Mexico is often cited as a primary location for the large-scale manufacturing of finished illicit fentanyl. Transnational criminal organizations such as Sinaloa Cartel and Jalisco New Generation Cartel, I've heard about this one, CGNG, are frequently identified as the dominant producers and distributors. So you're completely right, actually. You're completely right. So China is the one that does the illicit production and synthesize fentanyl, and they're the ones that are actually doing is sending it to the Mexico, and then Mexico is giving it the final touches. They finish the illicit fentanyl, and these are the gangs that are actually doing it. There is Jalisco New Generation Cartel, and the other one. India has also been noted. Yeah, that's what I heard. I've heard about the India as well, but this is the first time I'm actually reading about India. I don't know what India actually exactly they do. India has also been noted in international reports as a source for both precursor chemicals and illicitly manufactured synthetic opioids. So India also plays a part in this. And then historically, countries with large pharmaceutical sectors like the United States and Belgium have been significant producers of pharmaceutical grade fentanyl. When it comes to like the illicit way of actually producing it, it's like using it at the hospitals and as like medical prescription. So there's when we talk about like the actual pharmaceutical sectors, their biggest producer are United States and Belgium. So I wouldn't be surprised if United States is doing something dodgy as well. Like on paper, it looks very clean, but who knows behind the doors what dodgy shit they could be doing. And these are the businesses anyway. I don't think America controls the businesses when it comes to like the big pharma companies. Other nations, including the United Kingdom, Germany, and several others in the European Union, also participate in the regulated manufacture of fentanyl for the global medical market. So fentanyl is basically opioid, but it's a highly potent synthetic opioid. For those seeking help with substance use or more information on the risk associated with opioid, I mean, these are the resources you can use. It's used like morphine, not prescription. Also, like before the surgeries, or if there's like some sort of serious procedure going on, just as like a painkiller sort of thing, right? Putting you to sleep before that procedure. Completely understand it. Mhm. It's much more stronger than morphine for people who have extreme pains, and yes, it's used in surgeries. So fentanyl, what's the fun about fentanyl actually? I mean, it's definitely stronger than morphine, but I don't see anyone actually enjoying morphine. That's what I'm saying. But people actually do, man. People do crazy shit. Oh yeah, this is the one that I was trying to find out. Joe Kent resignation letter. He actually clearly said that there was no imminent threat from Iran. Okay, yeah, that's exactly what he's saying. He's saying, I cannot, in good conscience, support the ongoing war in Iran. Kent wrote in the letter, Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation, and it is clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel. He's clearly saying that we started this war with pressure from Israel. On some previous occasions, Marco Rubio has expressed the same concerns, but Marco Rubio was saying that because he didn't want to take the blame, but with Joe Kent is completely different. And his powerful American lobby. The resignation is the highest profile rebuke yet of the war effort from a Trump administration insider and staunch supporter of the MAGA movement. Albeit one who instantly drew criticism for alleged anti-Semitism, it reflects how the conflict is roiling some of the Trump's most high-profile MAGA supporters. MAGA is kind of like already broken into pieces right now, like Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly, even the rank and file Republican largely back the president. I mean, look how badly MAGA is getting broken right now, how badly they're getting destroyed from inside right now. Like Tucker Carlson became like a critic. He started doing a lot of criticism. He became one of like the more prominent critical person of MAGA when the Palestinian war actually started. He was staunchly criticizing it. But Megyn Kelly, on the other hand, she was kind of defending the right of Israel to actually defend itself, but at the same time, she was looking at the casualties in Palestine, and she would criticize Israel quite frequently as well, to be honest. But she was kind of in the middle. But when the war in Venezuela actually happened, which I wouldn't call a war, it was like a strategical based maneuver actually that the U.S. did in like 45 minutes. She was praising that a lot actually, and Trump was able to get a lot of people on his side back again. Guys like Nick Fuentes actually was completely against Israel, but he supported the mission in Venezuela because it seemed like they made it look very cool. That the U.S. has got very high intelligence and very high accuracy. I mean, even the weapons that they used over there, they were talking about like some sort of sonic boom waves that actually kind of disabled all the guys over there. They couldn't hear anything, they couldn't speak. The blood actually started coming out of their mouth. This what we heard as well. Just the technology. Um, but now it seems like everybody's kind of repelled. Nick Fuentes is not supporting Donald Trump in any way. He's already told all of his supporters to vote Democrats. That's what he's telling you basically. The guy who was campaigning for Trump in 2024 is telling you to vote Democrats. Megyn Kelly is kind of doing the same thing. She's not as open as Nick Fuentes in saying that vote Democrats, but she's kind of like straying away from MAGA at the moment. Uh so yeah, there's like a big war going on right now between Republicans. It also renews questions which the administration had long struggled to answer about why the US launched the effort in the first place. Some lawmakers and experts have raised doubts over the intelligence the president used to justify the war. By the way, I also heard one of the arguments to support Donald Trump that he started the war just so the war doesn't actually happen in the future. So basically, they were saying, Trump, you campaigned in 2024 to not have any wars. Why is Trump starting all the wars right now? Like he had 7 wars in the Middle East before that. Now he's picking his 8th war, which is going to cause way more damage than any of the previous wars that he has started. And it was kind of expected. We should have known that in advance because Iran is actually the first country that they picked that has some sort of military capacity. They do have good weapons, missiles. Their people are warriors. They like to fight back, and they do control the geographic locations that actually matter a lot when it comes to oil, when it comes to the resources that actually benefit your allies and yourself. The defense was that Donald Trump started this war so it does not happen in the future because this has to be done right now. So far, America has been able to involve in many wars in the Middle East during the Obama era, during the Joe Biden era, but he doesn't want USA to be repeating the same mistakes. So he just wants to get over with this. So this was like a finishing touch that he was giving. What sort of stupid argument is that? Like, who would actually buy this argument that he's actually doing it for one final time? So our future generations don't have to see that? It's insane. It's insane. It's like theatrics. It's like a theater. You're watching a movie, and it's happening. It's happening in real time, and people are watching. And some of the supporters, to be honest, people who actually really wants to defend him, they will actually buy it because they're just trying to defend him so hard that they will come up with any arguments that can defend him. Because now it seems like some of the things are facts. They can't lie about the damage. Like obviously we've seen the damage in Tel Aviv, we've seen the damage in the military bases, we've seen the damage in the oil refineries, we've seen the damage to the economy. That's not a lie. That's a fact. That's not an opinion based argument. That's a fact. They can't say that we are winning decisively. They can't say that we haven't taken any damage. Obviously, there's dead soldiers coming back. There's a lot that is happening. So there's not much they can deny over here. So the way they can actually justify it, the way they can actually paint the picture is that, all right, we're taking damage in the short term right now, but it's only because we're going to recover that in the future. So they're telling you about the fruits that you will have in a few months' time or in a few years' time. You'll be making new deals with other countries. You don't have to be dependent on Iran. That's what they're saying. Even though they're asking for like $200 billion for war again, which is gonna damage. Man, the economy is already down. The economy is already down. They're asking for like that much amount of money, and you know why they're asking for the money? Because they're running out of weapons. And it takes a lot of time to produce weapons in USA. It takes because the kind of weapons that you're using very high level technology. You're not using those $30,000 drones that Iran is using. You're using millions of dollars of weapons. You're using Tomahawk missiles that you've already finished the production of 2025. So you have used as many Tomahawk missiles as much as you produce in 2025. That is insane. And Iran has a good ability to recover because Iran is producing the weapons that can actually be produced very quick. It doesn't require a lot of money. It doesn't require a lot of time, and they have the ability to take a damage and to recover quick. And that's why they fight very well in the long term. Unlike USA, which is more like a sprinter. They like to run through the things, and if it doesn't actually work out, things become hard. They like to leave the country. That's what happened in Vietnam. That's what happened in I would say to some extent in Afghanistan, that eventually they did leave. Iran will get reparations from Gulf countries. Reparation from Gulf countries for the damage that the Gulf countries have done to Iran. Do you think that will actually happen? I mean, Gulf countries are dependent a lot on Iran, so I wouldn't be surprised if that actually happened. I don't know if there's like a deal between them already that they would if anything happens, but I guess it kind of makes sense because they're also controlling the Strait of Hormuz, so they could just, uh, you know, they could just blackmail them. Than the U.S. and Israel did. Yeah, I mean, I would be happy to be honest. I would want that. I would. It would be great if Iran does get the reparations. So, what do you actually accomplish during the war? Nothing was accomplished. Nothing was accomplished. What do you think about the argument? I'm gonna ask one last question, and then I might get off the stream. Actually, all from U.S. and Israel, they're not paying him. They're not paying Iran a penny. They might not. Well, I am thinking actually, if Iran actually does blackmail them to a point that they do have to, I mean, you can kind of like make them surrender into doing this, um, without getting reparations. I like that. I like that. I like the actions that Iran is actually taking. Okay, so one last question is that I can't even remember the question actually. No, I was gonna ask something. I was gonna discuss something. Mm, okay, I might, when I come on the stream next time, I might actually ask then. Like right now, I can't remember exactly what I was gonna ask. It's one of their conditions. Yeah, I mean, this pretty much they can do, to be honest. Pretty much they can do. They kind of deserve it. Like, Israelis are still getting the reparations for like the Holocaust, so why not Iran for this? Okay, man, I'm gonna come off the stream right now. I might, you know what? I might do another one maybe in like in like 2 hours or something, but I'm not sure. I'll see. I'll see. I might pop back later on, maybe later on, like in 10, 11 hours, or maybe in 2 hours, but I'm not sure. But I'll see. But have a good one, guys. Take care of yourself.